Moving ahead, viewers, let's also tell you that US President Donald Trump has said that Caracas and Washington have reached a deal to export up to $2 billion worth of Venezuelan crude to the US, a flagship negotiation that would divert supplies from China while helping Venezuela avoid deeper oil production cuts. Venezuela has billions of barrels of oil loaded on tankers and in storage tanks that it has been unable to ship due to a blockade on exports imposed by Trump since December. According to sources, supplying the trapped crude to the US could initially require reallocating cargoes originally bound for China. The Asian country has been Venezuela's top buyer in the last decade, and especially since the US imposed sanctions on companies involved in oil trade with Venezuela in 2020. I want to request Dr. Sanjay Kumar to join me in the discussion here. He's a journalist from the Korea Herald and joins us from Seoul in South Korea. Thanks, Dr. Kumar, for joining me in this discussion firstly. And my question to you, what's the risk perception for China now as far as its oil imports is concerned, and how does the dependency on crude for China now shift?
Preeti, after having these speculations that Venezuela may export of oil almost $2 billion, it is not signaling a very positive strategy for China, and China is going to see it as a setback when it comes to long-term achievement of goals that China would like to achieve, because it has to do with the debt link incentives and debt link resource diplomacy that China had been executing, and China had been planning since many years, especially to have a good influence in the Western Hemisphere and the Latin American countries. And that is why, in short run, after this is exported to US, China would also be getting some in the similar forms, because US has not mentioned about China in that thing. But overall, it should be seen as a offensive realism, where the big players, major actors of international arena are trying to maximize their strategic interest, and at the same time they are trying to minimize the influence of the rivalry. And it is very clearly visible when it comes to US-China strategic competition. So in long run, it is going to intensify the strategic competition between US and China.
All right, sure. And what particularly about the question of oil, because we know that the pipelines were most suitable for the thick crude that Venezuela imports that China uses. How is that going to be resolved now? Because that's really like an infrastructure issue, and China had invested hefty amounts, about $100 billion in Venezuela.
See, Kriti, unless Venezuela gets stabilized, especially politically, we cannot comment on the implications, current and immediate implications. But, if you ask me frankly, in this geopolitical struggle, we should say, and geopolitical competition, I think one who is going to hold the oil is going to hold the power. So you can consider in that way. And US-China strategic competition is not an example, is a shining example. So of course, it is, the world is watching that this Venezuelan crisis, we should say, it should not turn into a, like the neo-colonial form of things where, the major powers, they grab these resources and they exploit the countries which are small. So, the entire world is watching these things. So that is why I think US also would be very careful when it comes to, sending signals, because, like there are many countries in Europe also who doesn't agree with this form of actions, and that is why I think US is going to be very careful. And China, they will keep watching. They are also waiting, and they have made condemnations too, which shows that they are closely watching the things, and you never know, like in the background they might be having some strategies with their like-minded partners.
Sure. Well, thanks for now, Dr. Kumar, for joining this discussion, but do stay on once again with us. Viewers, let's also tell you that